So, what can we talk about? I used to be I still am, but yeah, a spiritual seeker, religious less spiritual seeker, who never thought of adopting a religion in his life. Because of obvious reasons. Because of reasons that every agnostic, atheist, spiritual person, quote unquote, uses. You know, institutions are corrupt. Religion is just there to control mankind. Spirituality is the way to truth. I'm not saying it's wrong or right. I understand it. I lived that way all my life. By living that way, it led me to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. 10 months ago, or even 11 months ago actually, I would have never imagined to utter these words. It all started it all began on mid-July maybe, or on the second week of July 2024. There was a calling that lasted for 3 weeks. Guys, here's the Ping River. Trying not to drop my phone. I'm just showing you. So it lasted for 3 weeks, and I spoke about it a lot on my videos, but I can't talk about it enough. So I wish I had something to hold my phone. It's not hold it so low like this, but that's all I could do for now. I'm just resting on my bag. And we're gonna take a break shortly as we go further up the river. So no man, no human being had the power to make me change my mind about God, about being a worshiper of God in the religious sense. Because like I said, to me religion was just it was just for believers. I was a seeker, I was not a believer, right? Sadhguru, the great yogi, who is I consider him my master, because my yogi, my guru, my yoga master, whom I've learned yoga from his ashram, because I was a seeker, specifically because of that, because I wanted to know. I didn't want to believe, I wanted to know. What is life? What is the mystery of existence? What is mysticism? What is this energy we call life? This phenomenon we call life, consciousness? You know? You see, these people who call themselves spiritual, without even knowing it, they make it into a religion. Because religion, in a way, well, at least the classical notion of religion is, it's a fixed idea. It's a fixed system that preaches a certain truth, and there's no room for improvement or expansion. right? That's what religion is. And for these reasons, I was against religion. Because that's not life. Life always expands, right? Life always expands. Only death is rigid and motionless and stagnant. Life always flows, grows. So my spiritual seeking opened me to the mystical dimensions which are invisible to the five senses, and that's where everything started to make more sense. Now, it is very hard to talk about these things to people who have no experience with anything beyond the five senses. I remember when I was a seeker in Buddhism and all these things, and I would share these things with my father, with my dad. And he was very open to know about these things and to discuss about these things, and he found it very fascinating. Because in Buddhism, for example, the tradition I grew up in since I was 12 and 13, which I've adopted from my martial arts, studying the martial arts, it still has a logical kind of a logical aspect to it. It has a very logical and a very intellectual aspect. But once you get into the spiritual realms, the mystical realms rather, when you start experiencing things beyond five senses, beyond intellect, anything that does not belong to the intellect is considered foolishness, craziness to anyone who is a thinker, like I was, and I still am, but I'm not limited to my thinking or my intellect because I've gone beyond that. Thank God for that. Thank goodness for that. You see, I abandoned God and religion because I wanted to seek truth. And by seeking truth, I found and saw and experienced the realms which the religions, or not, in general, say to be true, which people just accept and believe because, they just believe it, right? Some of them probably, certainly experience it, but a lot of them just believe in it, right? Well, I was never one of these people who wanted to believe in anything. I wanted to know. And by seeking, I came to know. And what I know, what I've found, what I've discovered through my seeking, through the knowledge that came from the seeking, is exactly what brought me to Christ. So, it's very weird, guys. It's a beautiful story, and I'm getting ready to write a book about this, like I mentioned in my previous video. And guys, if you haven't seen my my recent live stream with Sam Shamoun, if you guys don't know who Sam Shamoun is, look him up. He's a Christian apologist, but a very honest one. He's been through a lot. He's been through, I think, atheism. He's been through, I think he was also becoming a Muslim a long time ago, or was a Muslim or something. And then he got into Protestantism, or how do you call it? And Calvinism and all these kind of New Age Christian ways, but he ended up becoming a Catholic. And he talks extensively about that, so you can check him out on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. He talks about that a lot. So I just recently had a talk with him on a live stream. The video is on his channel and it's even on my channel, Omar Paul Daniel, on YouTube. And very emotional. We're still expecting to have a part 2 together, so that I can go more in depth into my story and testimony, which I can't wait to share with the world. Actually, I was always someone who was seeking truth, and for me truth was God. Always was, always will be. The fact that I become Christian now, Catholic, it has a lot of layers. It's very it's not just a one-sided story, a one unidimensional thing. It all ties up with many things, and I will be diving deep into that, especially when writing my book. And so yeah, what else? You know what, hold on, let's take a little break. Let's eat a little, because I'm kind of hungry. I got some durian, which I want to eat. Let's have some durian, guys. I hope I can put this video on Instagram, but I don't know if it'll allow me videos above 10 minutes. Hope it does. Get my durian, guys, hold on. Very hard to maneuver. Yeah. The river now is taking me back. The current is taking me back, which is not, that's alright, but it's not really strong, but you know, I would have wished that it was just stable. So anyways, got some durian here. Got some good durian from this place. I love durian here, bro. Come on. So a lot of people trying to get the angle right now. A lot of people in my close circle, they're confused about this. It's always a challenge whenever you come to realize certain truths, which are hard to come by. Things such as existential matters, whether it be interacting with an angel, with a spirit, with God himself, the creator, extraterrestrials, near-death experiences, you know. Let me try to do this one. Hope I can do this, and I hope the sound will be good. Yeah, let's do this. So it's always the most challenging thing to speak to someone about something that has not entered their experience. A very common example is talking to a blind person about color. You were blind once and suddenly you began to see, and your friend or family were also blind, and now you're the only one who can see, and now you're talking to them about, guys, I know what color is now, I can see it. It's no longer a legend or a superstition that we used to talk about. I can see it. I wish you could see it so you can know what it is. And I'm like, and they're like, come on, man, color doesn't exist. Only darkness exists. What are you talking about? There's nothing. What is image? What is color? There's no way to reach them or to make them understand what color is. There's nothing you can compare. There's nothing you can compare color to, you know? Or sound for a deaf person. There's nothing you can compare sound to make them understand what sound is. So these things are impossible, right? It's impossible to reach people with these things. And so when we talk about transcendental things, like the spirit realm, like, you know, all these things, right? It has not entered their experience at all. They've just heard stories about it, especially from unreliable sources like, you know, like superstition, like belief systems, like, you know, all these things, right? Which don't give you a taste of the experience itself. Don't give you a taste of knowledge. So it's a very heartbreaking thing, right? They want to believe you, they want to accept what you're saying, but they just can't, because, and that was my position as well. I have a very good friend, online friend, Shane, from the States, who used to, you know, who I met on YouTube a long time ago, and we're really good friends, although we haven't spoken for a while now. Suddenly we started talking about spirituality, and he started talking to me about these spirits and entities, and I'm like, come on, man. And I was already a spiritual person, quote unquote, and I've already had certain experiences, but they were not clear. And it was heartbreaking because I dismissed his testimony. He was writing a book, had a lot of pages. And I don't think he ever finished that book or published it. And I can't help but feel that part of the reason for that is me. Because I was a very close friend. We were very close friends, and I hope we still are, but I kind of dismissed his testimony. And it kind of got like frustrating to him. He was like, man, these things are real, man. Like, I experienced them. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, man, I kind of felt sorry for him, because I was like, I can see that this guy is delusional. I don't know if it's because he took drugs, or he didn't really take drugs. He was just smoking marijuana, you know, cannabis, like I was, right? But I don't know. I was thinking, I don't know what's wrong with this guy. Maybe he's just delusional, because these things don't exist. And I thought I was the smart one. And we kind of fell off a little bit because of that. Not really, but after that we were never really as close as we used to be. I can understand why. But now, what is that? But now it's like, now it's different. Now it's like something is moving in that water. What is that? Oh man. It's a piece of wood floating away. Let me show you guys. Yeah, it's just a piece of wood. I mean, there's no animals here, crocodiles or even snakes. We're in the city, but you can't help but imagine things when you're here, right? But I'm all right. let's just head back. It's a bit far, but yeah, it's good. I just wanted the exercise. I wanted some exercise. So, I don't know, maybe we should just keep going. Hold on, let me just turn around. So me and Shane, this was like around 2016 when I started living by myself. 2015 or 16, one of them. One of those years. I think it was 16. Before my trip to India, before my trip to Sadhguru's ashram, where I certainly became more sure about the existence of entities. And he told me, yeah, man, these things are real. And I was like, come on, man, they can't be real. And lo and behold, not too long after that, I started seeing things, well, not seeing things, but having experiences of these entities, otherworldly entities or non-human entities, which became, which concretized themselves in reality, in day-to-day life. That's how I was able to verify them, you know? They just confirmed themselves as being true. And when they confirmed themselves, now it opened a whole other door, which could never be locked again, of things I've seen or heard or witnessed since I was a little kid. And I've always dismissed it as, oh, maybe I was just imagining things. But now now I started having a whole new perspective on those things, about those things. Yeah, guys, it's incredible. Let me see how. All right, yeah, my phone is consuming a lot of energy, so. So, yeah, man. These things are real. You can take it from me. I'm not asking you to just take my word for it. If you don't, I totally understand. But what I'm asking you to do is just take it into consideration. Because this young man, Omar, Paul Daniel today, was a seeker all his life. Didn't believe in anything. Was actually against belief. Even now, kind of. And I can talk about that later. For me, belief is trust. And that's exactly what we say in the Catholic Church. Belief, the sense of the word belief is trust. It's not like blind belief, like you just believe something because someone said so. But you believe it because actually there's evidence for it. You trust it now. You trust a source. You trust someone's word because you've seen some kind of evidence. It's very different than like Islam, for example, where they just ask you to believe, and if you refuse to believe, you're just going to be banished. No, that's not how Christianity is, especially Catholicism, which is the most ancient of Christianities. Catholicism and Orthodoxy, and of course the Assyrian Church. Apostolic churches are the most ancient. So it's not about just what you believe in your head. There's actually a witnessing, a testimony of evidence, which allows you to now trust and accept certain truths. If it wasn't the case, I would have never embraced anything like this. I found out that Catholicism was not what I was expecting at all. It's not based on blind belief whatsoever. Maybe, certainly you have people who do just believe blindly, but the religion itself never asks you to believe blindly. It's a religion of love, first of all. It asks you to open your heart to love. It doesn't ask you to have a firm belief as though you are seeing what you are believing, because then it just becomes hallucination. In Islam, that's what they ask you to do. They ask you to believe in God so hard to the point where you can see Him and hear Him now. That is like self-hypnosis to me. It's like you're just self-hypnotizing yourself. Like, why would you do that? Are you interested in truth, or are you interested in hallucinating or seeing something that this book is telling you to see? Because you can imagine something so hard that you start to see it and hear it. That has nothing to do with belief. Because just a reminder, I was completely not believing in anything, and then I started hearing and seeing. Well, not seeing, but I was hearing things. I saw things in my dreams, which were confirmed later the next morning, actually, many times. Things that happened from other places, people who were contacting me for certain things, and I just dismissed them. Even though I saw it and it was confirmed, I still dismissed it. And God, in His infinite mercy, showed me time and time again the same truth until I couldn't deny it anymore. So that's how I came to realize these truths, these things to be true. So I was the most unwilling person to accept such things. And now look at me, I'm a Catholic, Christian Catholic. I mean, if it could happen to me, it could happen to anyone, guys. I mean, I was like, I would talk to my dad, who's still alive, by the way. He's in good shape. Considered, more or less good shape for his age, quite good. 83 years old. I think this year he's becoming 84. Oh man, I think he's 80. He becomes 84 this month. I just remembered. But I remember we used to like mock religion all the time, man. Just laugh and have drinks and just like, look at these idiots, man. They believe that this happened and this angel said this to that person and whatever, and God did this and that. And we would just laugh. It was like innocent. It was not like we're insulting or like angry at them. We're just making fun, And I remember I would tell him, and he would tell me like, hey man, like I would tell him, like, aren't you getting a little doubt because now you're approaching the end of your life, that God may be there and you have to like believe in Him or something, like, and he would just laugh and tell me, of course not, like, never crossed my mind. Like, he would show me like his confidence in his atheism, and I would applaud him for that, and we would just laugh about it. And all of a sudden his son becomes Catholic and begins preaching to him that Jesus Christ is Lord. I mean, how can you, like, how would you react if you were him? You would certainly think my son has gone crazy. Either that, or you would have you would have to do either that, or you would have to start seriously doubting or questioning rather your own convictions, which is the hardest thing to do, especially at that age, at a very old age. Why would you do that? You already finished your life and you lived the way you wanted to live and believed whatever you wanted to believe and disbelieved whatever you wanted to disbelieve, and you're a very intellectual person and a very smart person and a very well-educated person. Why would you now start thinking that, yeah, God may be real and maybe my son is coming to some truth? It is very hard. So my dad, he always wishes that I would avoid bringing these topics up with him. which I understand, but it also makes me sad because what I've discovered, because I've always shared my discoveries with him, my spiritual discoveries. This is my ultimate discovery. Everything started to make sense when this dimension opened to me, and when I started going to church, and everything started to make sense in ways that it never has before. Everything completed itself. It's not like I was on a wrong path and now I'm like I put an X on everything I was in before. It just completed itself. Everything I've been through, everything I knew and learned and witnessed and experienced, it all culminated into Christ, into knowing Christ. And this I would have never imagined in my wildest dreams. And it's so exciting to me to speak about this. That's why I talk about it always in my videos. Now, I've become somewhat of an evangelist now, you know. No one asked me to. No one told me, no one proposed that I would, that I do this. Actually, my friends are kind of worried. They're like, hey man, you got to be careful, you're you're an ex-Muslim, you know. Most ex-Muslims don't even show their face unless they're living in Europe or America and they have like citizenship, and I was never the one to be afraid. I don't live in fear, especially when it has to do with truth, with the ultimate like truths of life. I cannot pretend to be ignorant just so that I don't provoke certain belief systems. I mean, guys, if you are open about your belief system, if your belief system is being preached all over the place, and it's not just a thing that belongs to you, but it belongs to the world, and especially when your belief system is trying to convert the entire world, it's like, and you have and you make no apology for that. How could you now act like a victim when someone points to your religion and questions it, or even criticizes it, or even says something against it? Especially if it's in the name of truth, in the name of seeking, in the name of questioning and wanting to know more. Why would I be afraid of that? I can't be afraid of that. Anyways, guys, I think my phone is, I think my phone had enough. It's warming up a lot, and the battery is not, it's almost out. So I guess I'm gonna stop here. Let me just show you guys one last view of the river. Yeah. There's a couple there with their child riding the canoe. The husband driving the thing, or paddling, right? Rowing. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to talk to you very soon. There's much more to come, I promise you. We're just getting started. Go in peace, in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.